welcome. Welcome to MeherBabaLibrary, and welcome to this exceptional, wonderful day today. We have with us MeherBaba's close relatives. Franey Irani is MeherBaba's sister-in-law. She was married to Baba's youngest brother, Adi Jr., who passed away in 1988. And Franey is the niece of Sarosh Irani. And in this interview today, Sarosh will be brought up quite a few times because he is an integral part of this connection. And Franey is the niece of Sarosh Irani, who was her father's younger brother. And Goher and Katie Irani, MeherBaba's women Mandalay members, were her first cousins on her mother's side. And Meru was her second cousin on her father's side. And Franey was born in Mumbai, or Bombay, India, 31 March 1923. So Franey, can you tell us about your connection at Karushu quarters when you were a young girl?
Well, I was lucky to have grown up in Karushu quarters because I'm now happy that they're not going to demolish it. And they're doing the archives, so the building will still remain the same, I hope. Like, you know, sometimes your buildings are demolished. Like the cinema we owned was gone. Sarosh Motor Works had gone. You know, my grandparents immigrated from Iran. They came as a group. Because England was ruling India at the time. And anybody wanted to leave Iran because the Mughal world was being very violent, killing everyone. And so a group of my family grands who lived in Iran got together, just took whatever they could carry, and they came to Mumbai, which was Bombay at the time. And they stayed together, and they came to Ahmedabad. They didn't want to live in a big city. I mean, they stayed a while to get adjusted. And after that, they felt they had to find work in Ahmedabad. So they, Kosovo wasn't there at the time. They had to live in places called Dharamsala, which means poor apartments and all that. But they stayed, never left each other. So they each found work and they put their money in one place, all the money together. That's how they built up businesses.
And I just would like to bring up your mother, Suna. She was devoted right
yeah,
away.
Well, she was my grandfather's daughter-in-law, my father's father's daughter-in-law. She was an Irani. They were Persians. My father was a Persian. My Sarosh uncle was a Persian. And they came after my grandparents came, immigrated, and they made enough money. And the British, Ahmedabad became a military town, you know, because England was ruling India. But there were advantages there. That's how the businesses came to the family, the workers.
And Mummy, how did Granny become interested in Baba?
Well, I mean, she married Daddy, my father.
He wasn't a Baba?
No, but they were a joint family from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Sarosh uncle, my father, my mother, Katie and Gover's mother, they were all born, Katie's mother was born in Quetta.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
But what happened to Granny that she became interested in Baba?
No, she was Katie Auntie's mother's younger sister.
Yeah.
And I was told by one of my cousins, the daughter of Katie Auntie's mother, that my mother was a very beautiful Persian woman, you know, very dark hair, long hair, very tall, you know.
And didn't she meet Upasani Maharaj?
Well, she told me brief things. You know, Baba used to come to Khashru quarters to see Gulmai. You all heard of Gulmai. So Gulmai was the husband of Adi Senior, Rustam, Meru's father's father, you know. And I've got it all wrong, wait a minute. Adi Senior and Rustam were brothers, and they were the children of Gulmai and Khashru, who was her husband. And as a child, I grew up, you know, can I tell my little baby story?
Well, yeah, you should tell that story. And so your parents were living in Khashru quarters, and Baba used to come to Khashru
Well,
quarters
Baba used to, you know, Gulmai started to believe in Baba, the Zoroastrian religion, the Parsi religion that was there, were very against her, you know, so because of Meher Baba. So, but sometimes Baba would come to see Gulmai, his spiritual mother, he called her. And so when he came, as a child, when I was, well, I didn't say the initial part of it, but I've got to tell you an introduction, how I was born. My mother had a firstborn was a boy, a little boy, and she had married Dinshaw, my father, who was also Sarosh uncle's older brother. So they were born after their parents came from Iran. You know, when they lived in Khashru quarters, they bought the Khashru quarters from the military and sort of started living families like that. So my mother married my father, Sarosh uncle married Bilowanti, and Gulmai was all right. I was very, very frightened. I didn't like her. You know, she was always grumbling and things like that. But it was a very healthy living.
Why don't you tell the story of how Granny had your brother,
yeah,
but he died.
I've just introduced him. So then, after my father married my mother, her firstborn was a little boy. And he was very healthy, a lovely baby. From what Katie and Gover tell me, I hadn't seen him, so I don't know. But unfortunately, he died very quickly because he had a little abscess on his buttocks at 1.5, 2, and he couldn't walk properly. He was sort of going on his bottom, and luckily, being a military town, the hospital wasn't far away, the British military hospital, and my father happened to know one of the doctors there, and he asked him, could he come and see their son? And he came, and he saw him, but just put heat on him, because if there's an abscess, the heat will subside. But, you know, they didn't have hot water bottles on. He said, so my mother went and got a brick from the garden, wrapped a towel around it, and put it over the coals to heat it up. And my brother was playing, so she thought, I'll just go and try and put the heat on him. He saw her. He got scared. He got a seizure and he died. Oh.
So Baba met you when you were you met Baba when you were 3?
Well, that's quite a nice story. Mummy, why don't you tell the story of how your mother became pregnant again?
Yes, I'm Sarosh uncle, yeah. The bit that's coming up is my uncle Sarosh was my father's younger brother, and he was very fond of me, well, afterwards, after I was born. And he came to see my mother to say goodbye. He was going to see Baba, and my mother knew about Baba. She used to see him, and he came to say goodbye. And my uncle said, so now why are you so sad? You're having another baby. She said, well, I don't know if this one's going to last. So, so my uncle said to her, I'm going there, I'll ask Baba for you. So don't worry. Because my uncles always loved children. He had children rather late in life. So anyway, he came back in a week's time. When he saw her, he had just returned from a school in Pune. There were no schools in Ahmedabad at the time. And not proper schools. Britain had made schools there. And he came back and he went rushed to my mother and he said, look, I've got a message for you. Baba said, not to worry, you're having a girl, nothing's going to happen to her.
That was you.
That's me.
That's
me. And then a little bit afterwards, after the part, he said, so now can you name a Franey? He said, of course, because in those days, people named the baby according to the horoscope, And so when he asked her, she said, of course I'll name her Franey. And that's how I'm here.
Oh, wow. All right. And so then your mother would visit Baba, and then one day, how old were you when you first laid eyes on Baba in person?
I didn't understand.
Yeah, how old were you when you first saw Baba? You were just an infant, weren't you?
Growing up, I used to see him in my toddler years.
A toddler, yeah.
In Purushu Quarters.
Have you been to
in Purushu Quarters.
the long veranda that was part of the house.
Right.
Yeah.
So
my mother, after my grandfather went to what he wanted to do in the camp, she would have me walk with her. We had servants at the time, people, workers, and she used to walk me up and down, and then sometimes I would see Baba suddenly walk through the compound, and I used to say, why doesn't he touch the ground? Is he a magician? I asked my mother. Then she would quieten me down, because I used to speak in Marathi or Hindi or whatever. And so that's when I used to see him a lot. Then when I started school, there was a British school opening, boarding school in Pune. My father wanted me to go to a proper school to learn English and all. And so he applied that I go there. The nuns, British nuns, came and had a building done, and it was a boarding school only for girls. So my father liked that, And he applied. He got a reply that she can come at the age of 7. But my father forgot to tell them that I was non-Christian. So they wanted double the fee.
So Franey, now can we come up to the point to where you become a member of Meher Baba's close family?
Do you want to talk about the time when she was 11, when she
okay.
went? Yeah. Mummy, why don't you tell the story? You had been seeing Baba all along.
Oh yeah, I was going to come to it.
Granny introduced you to him formally.
I used to see, I was coming up to the point when I first met Baba physically. I was 11.
11 years old.
So when Kitty, who else? Delia, Adele, not Adele, Rano, oh dear, I can't remember the names.
So there was some Western Baba lovers.
Yeah,
Baba.
they were just coming on their first trip to see Baba at Gulmai's place. Gulmai. And Baba, my mother must have asked Baba, one of Adisini or somebody, because my daughter is coming on holiday, can I bring her also if I come to see Baba? And they said fine. And So we went, Baba had come punctual, everybody had to be there before Baba, you know. And the night before, I was 11 and I wanted to look good for my Baba, you know, to my first meeting. So I put curlers on my hair and then, in the morning I had to get up early, you know, my poor mother calling me, come on, it's late. And I used to delay so much. But finally I managed to look like a powder puff anyway. It was a big frizz. And we were lucky, we were the first ones to go into the room. And we saw Gulma and everyone, and we sat down. And then everyone was coming in, the Westerners came in, you know, we weren't introduced. We just saw the Westerners come in and sit down near Baba's chair. And then Baba walked. He was a wonderful sight to see, all in white, long flowing hair. That's the first time, the only time I've seen him with long flowing hair. And I didn't know any of the Westerners. And they all came in. And then Baba came in. Somebody took a picture of Baba, that's all I remember. Then they had a meeting, and I was at the back with my mother, you know, only 11. I didn't understand anything. English I just picked up a little in school, you know. And after it all finished, everybody had to leave. And I was so scared people will say something about my hair, you know. Standing up and going to meet Baba, I had a little walk to do. And I didn't want to do it. My mother said, come on, we've got to go and see Baba and meet him. I asked them if you could come. I said, okay. I walked with her and I saw Baba. I still see his eyes, they were so radiant, you know. And I remember seeing Kitty because I always could, I have a good memory for faces sometimes. And I remember Kitty was a tall person, so she was a little stool, you know. And she was about 2 women away from Baba while Baba was sitting. And so my mother meets Baba. Baba asks about me. What am I doing, or how am I? And my mother, of course, very nice, she says she's okay, she's going to school. And then she greets him, and then it's my turn. I greet Baba, and he gives a very big hug. You know, I was tiny, so Adi Senior called me a walking skeleton. So anyway, I said goodbye. Then as I was turning to get out and follow my mother, I heard one of the women say, who's that child with a powder puff on her head? I nearly collapsed, you know. I said, oh my God. I pulled my mother's sari, come on, out you go. And went out. And then whenever school holidays came up, and if Baba allowed people to come and see him, local people, and my mother would always, you know, want to go. And when I came, she asked if she could bring me along because I was on holiday. That's how I used to see him. And sometimes it was I was lucky to see little skits that Money and helpers would do for Baba, you know, little acting, singing. And I have seen some wonderful, like Goher of all people, to act. She is an educated woman. She doesn't know, I don't think she knows any music, but Money made her act in front of Baba, a Gujarati program it was. It was the funniest program I could ever see Goher acting. I thought Goher would never act. She was a doctor, you know.
Do you want to tell the story that one time when Granny took you to see Baba, he said, how is school?
No, that's going up to MeherBaba Hill.
That was on your head, Mummy.
That was when I was nearly, about to leave school in a year's time, boarding school. So we had gone, there was some singing and music. It was very nice in MeherBaba Hill. And after it all finished, we had to all say goodbye. I mean, there was always a crowd of people. We always had to sit down on the floor. And so we went to say goodbye. Again, every time I saw Baba, I always wanted to look my best. So, I had the flair for my hair. It was long hair afterwards. And then my mother said, bowed down to him and kissed him. And Baba asked her in the sign language, how is Franey doing in school? She said, Baba, I don't worry about that. She's doing okay. It's when she comes home, she gets an inch taller. And I've got to make new clothes for her. And I have nobody else who can give her clothes in the family back again. And I also like clothes as I grew up. And so she said she's worried. Can you stop her from growing up? Can you put a stone on her head? He said, no, I'll put my hand on her head. And I stopped. I was 5'6" when I was nearly 11.
Some water for you.
Mummy, have a little water.
Okay.
And then, trying to say, I'm not 100% sure, but these are such old stories. There are very few people now who could even corroborate these. But I remember my mum telling me that what sort of led my grandmother, who was born, into a Zoroastrian family, to follow Baba's. My grandmother was always interested in spirituality, and went to see Upasani Maharaj. And what we always heard was that Upasani said, see MeherBaba. So that's how that sort of started. But I'm not 100% sure that that's correct. But so that was good. So what was?
Well, the next thing I'd like to bring up is you saw your future husband, Adi Jr.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Start again. Jane was talking. What did you say?
You saw your future husband to be Adi Jr. quite frequently.
Well, he used to come frequently.
And he was a little older than you, so you used to even actually refer to him as uncle.
When I finished school, before finishing school, I used to see my husband come sometimes, afternoon, evening, because being Baba's brother, he used to come and see Adi Senior. Sarosh uncle would go frequently to Meherabad, Adi Senior. And I used to call him uncle then. And then when I finished school, and my father wanted me to become a lawyer. I said, no, I don't want to. And I didn't want to study. I wanted to do art, So my father tried to find art college for me, but nothing was available except one near Delhi and Agra. And he didn't want a 16-year-old to go all that way back there. He said, no, you're not going there, it's too far away. And so I liked art. I did a bit of art in school, in my senior Cambridge. And I liked it, but it was more life study than, landscapes or things like that. So when I got to know my husband when I started university in Pune, Warrior College, it was called. And I used to go to the Baba house, on the bike from there. I was a student at the college, and I had to stay there to board and lodging, And that was about quite a few miles away from Baba House. So
And this is in Pune. In
and
Pune. This was in Pune.
And
Yes.
so I didn't want to do. Oh no! Before I went to that one-year college, I was going to finish my inter arts, and I sort of well, I used to design clothes myself. Tailor used to make it, you know, and so the hostel girls. We were about 8 of us. They came with me because I had to see if I've checked in properly in the college, you know. I had to do everything myself.
And were you with Daddy at this time? You and Daddy met at Khosrow Quarter.
No, I had seen him in Khosrow Quarter. Yeah. But then, you know, I felt sometimes the evening, I just didn't want to be with the hostel girls. I wanted to go out, so I would take a trip to my Aunt Vilu's family, because her son used to spend time there. And then I got tired of that. Then I remembered Baba House. You know, I met somebody and I went to Baba House. And that's where I met my husband the first time. Really myself. You know, the family was there, but and we got, you know, we know each other. He knew I was in Warrior College, so he would come and visit me. And
so yeah, my parents had,
yeah, but that's a very important part of our story.
Well, it is, but it's, and there's parts.
Yeah, he had a first wife. And Dara, you met Dara.
Dara, yes. Dara was Adi Jr.'s son from his
you
first
know,
wife.
You know, Mehran, my grandson, great-grandson, in Asheville, he's got 5 restaurants.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So shall I just
Chai Pani.
And then, when did you do, this is sweet, my mum mentioned she's a really good artist and she did beautiful charcoal drawings. When did you have Baba autograph your drawing?
That was after.
After you married or before?
After Daddy and I got together.
Okay.
And
so tell that story. You did that lovely photo of Baba.
I did a face of Baba in charcoal, pencil, and it's framed in Shireen Jay's living room. I was 19, 20, and I knew Baba was going on a travel journey somewhere or the other, and so I wanted, my mother took me to Ahmednagar station because I wanted to give him that, show him that. And there was a crowd of people, and I was way back, and I didn't know if I'd ever see him, you know. And I saw my Adi Senior, who is my father and Uncle Saroj's cousin, who used to call me a walking skeleton. And so I saw him, I said, please, Adi Uncle, can you take this drawing I've done of Baba and ask him to sign it for me? He said, no, I'm not going to do it. I said, you go and do it. I said, oh dear. So I've got to do it. But the crowd wouldn't move. I couldn't get through. And I was always shy of Baba, you know. I don't know why. I loved him, but I was shy to ask too many questions or too many things, you know. And so I had actually done this painting in a large autograph, luckily. So it was a side view in charcoal. And so I gave it to him and holding it. Then he said to everyone, does it look like me? And then he signed it.
And it does, it's beautiful.
He signed it and gave it to me. So it's hanging in the living room now.
So the thing is, Adi apparently was attracted to you, because sometimes in India they have arranged marriages. This wasn't an arranged marriage. This was love.
Mine wasn't an arranged marriage. I what you call fell in love.
Ah.
Okay.
And then so you were wed in 1947.
No.
So you and Daddy married in 1947.
Yeah.
The same day as the Queen and Prince Philip.
Yeah. Baba chose the wedding day for me. It had to be the same day as the Queen. And
so this is a royal wedding.
call it a royal wedding or whatever.
Yes.
And do you want to tell the story of the marriage?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the story, Mummy, of your wedding, that Baba married you in the morning?
Yeah, well, no, that came as a surprise. The wedding day was arranged, so in the Iranian Parsi religion, you get officially engaged the same day as the wedding day, but in the afternoon. And so my mother, on that day, was dressing me up with a sari and all, at our home, and just as I was finishing, I was wearing my own sari myself, I got a phone call, and my mother calls me because my family, we were living on a one-story building, and the supermarket that my parents owned was down below. And so I rushed down to get the phone, and Ali Senior was on the phone. He said, "Franey." I said, "Yes, Jai Baba, what happened?" He said, "You've got to come here immediately." I said, "Why? What's wrong?" He said, "I don't know what's wrong." And I said, "Okay." So I had to undress again and wear another clothing. And my father had a driver, so he took me to the kosher quarters, and I saw Adi Senior. I said, what's wrong? Can you tell me? Have you seen Adi? He said, "No, I haven't seen Adi." I said, "Do you know anything?" He said, "I don't know anything." So he said, "Just go and sit in my office and wait." And so I was really worried because Baba sometimes, changes his mind, I said, "Oh dear." So I waited patiently. Have you been to his office where the Baba people come and sign? That's where my marriage was.
Right.
So Adi Senior had a 3-seater sofa. There was nobody on it. And he said, "Franey, sit on the sofa on one end." So I sat. And waited. Then I finally see my husband-to-be come in. I said, "What's happening?" He said, "I don't know." And then Adi Senior, after about 15 minutes, brings Baba in. And luckily there was a garland for me to give Baba, and Baba put that same garland on me. And he made me sit down. I was very nervous. He made me sit near him, Adi on the other side. And I said, "Oh my God, something's happening. Perhaps the marriage is off." I got really worried. And then he waited, and he asked me how I was. I said, "I'm fine, Baba." And because my husband-to-be was reading all the signs, I couldn't read Baba's signs at all. And then Baba said, he took my hand, my right hand, and he said, in sign language, "I'm going to marry you now." And he got Adi's hand and put it in ours, and he put his other hand on top of it. And bless me, it was such a moving moment for me to have Baba, God. I didn't know. It was a gift. I suddenly have a feeling that, you know, the marriage, such wonderful gifts that have come back to me, you know. He gave me his wedding, the best gift in the world. He married me, which I think is the best gift. I don't know all of you, but I think it's the best gift I had.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And so,
and I say it in front of everyone, in front of Baba, he is what he says he is. He is what he says. And so, instead of going on a honeymoon, I told my husband, I said, look, you know, I'd like to leave India. You know, I've been living in a cocoon now. You know, I want to open my horizons. I've been watching movies, America, Europe. Can't we go, just leave India and go to England? And he went, he did go. He went and asked. But he made a condition to me, my husband, because he loved Indian food, you know, and I hadn't learned.
Mummy, before that though, that was 9 years after you married. Do you want to tell the story when you lived in Pune with Daddy?
Oh, yeah.
And Baba came to the house
Oh,
and you had to cook for him?
that's important. Because I got the archive people questioning me, and they asked me so many questions. You know, Ted Judson, you know him?
Yes, Ted Judson,
yeah,
sure.
He questioned me about, because there was a time when Baba, before we left for...
yeah, you were living in that
before we left for England, yeah. We were renting a house in Pune. That's where I went to school. And so, forgotten, what did you say?
Well, it was, you were living in that house where you saw the king cobra, but that's another story.
That's the house we rented, yeah.
But Mummy, Baba came, you were suddenly saw Baba's
No, we were there, we had 4 dogs. It was a big mansion, some Maharaja's house, and we used only half one. And we had 4 dogs. Luckily, at the time when I saw the cobra, the dogs were outside. The wretched cobra was in the spare room I had near the veranda. And I go in alone, and I say, my God. I said, Adi, come here, there's a big snake in the house. And he didn't hear. Afterwards, he did come. I said, please look at the dogs. They'll be... And our gardener came, and he took the wretched cobra out, but just threw it out in the front of our where the cars parked. And the dogs, the gardener, let them loose, and they all came barking at the... And I had a Pomeranian dog, a small one, and it was barking, and it was going near to the cobra, and the cobra's head this like. And we were allowed to have licenses for guns, and my husband had a double-barrel license. I had one of those little ones. Yeah. I never shot in my life. And anyway, I said, please, Adi, don't hit my dogs, don't kill them. Just kill the cobra. You know, the cobra's, he was about this high, was wagging his little mouth. But he did, because it was a double-barrel gun, he shot. And as soon as the city people knew, you know, we were close to the village, and they worship cobras. They came at once and took the wretched thing out to pray. And my dogs, but the dogs were all right after that.
But Mum, tell the story of how Baba surprised you at that house.
No, so during that time, when we were waiting to go to England, when Baba told us what to do, we never did anything without his permission. So, one day Baba was in Satara. Baba called my husband over to Satara, so he went. And he came back, and he told me, Baba wants to come here and look at the house, our house. And I said, why? He said, I don't know. Anyway, apparently there was something being done. I don't know. Baba wanted to arrest in Pune. And so after Baba came from Satara, he wanted to stay and rest somewhere. So he wanted to see what our house looks like, if it was suitable for him and the money that he had with him to stay with him. And it was suitable. We had a goat too, for Dara, for goat's milk, for his retinitis pigmentosa. And so when Baba came, I had just, it was about after lunch or 1 o'clock, and Adi had his lunch. I gave him dal and rice and some fish, and I saw Baba's car coming through our gate, and I said, oh dear, Adi, I hope I have some lunch to give Baba. And Baba came, I met him, we showed him everything, our bedroom, and a spare room where widow aunties, 2 girls used to sleep in Dara, because they went to school in Pune. And I said, Baba, would you like some? Oh, Adi Senior was there too, I think. And Baba, I said, I only have dal and rice. I had no cook, or no servant, just one little boy who I taught cooking. And I said, I made some dal and rice and a little bit of fish. Baba liked fish a lot. And so I went, this little boy was the best cook I ever had. And he came with me. I said, come on now, I forget his name. I think it was something Pendu or something. I don't know what it was. I said, now, are the dishes washed? And I was nervous because, you know, I'm giving food to Baba. I was thinking I'm going to drop everything and make a mess. And so we got the best plates, serving plates. Baba sat at the head. And I didn't interfere because Adi and he were talking, so I brought the food and put it on his plate and the fish. And I just sat in the living room, which was an open living dining. And, you know, Baba and Adi talked. And I just asked Adi quietly, oh, is Baba eating? He said, yes, he's eating. And he ate all the food. You know, and yeah, because I had learned to cook by then, you know, we had gone to England, you know, so.
And you said that you were very nervous, and Baba, your hand was shaking, and Baba grabbed your hand.
Baba saw I was shaking with nerves, you know, we were trying to get a plate, I couldn't get it out. But I was nervous. He was here standing godly in front of me, you know. And anyway, in my sign language I said, he said, very nice, very good. You know, Adi said that to me. He loved the food. And so after everything, he agreed to stay in our house when we left for England, you know, because, but he he didn't want people rushing to see him, so it was all quietly done, only through Adi and his brother Baba, you know.
So that
because
brings
Baba wanted to be quiet, and so he had, and we had that rental period till the time he wanted to be there. Yeah.
So that brings you now to England, and when you were in England, you moved to England, and the thing is, Adi Jr. was sort of not content with being in England, and he sort of gave you an ultimatum. He says, if you could find a job in England,
No, that was Baba. Baba.
Oh, Baba said that?
And that Baba.
So Baba said, if you could find a job, you can stay.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
you
return to
That's
India.
one first trip to London, which has a very interesting story.
Yeah, good.
Mummy, can I just, do you want to tell, you moved to England in 1956, but you and Daddy went on a belated honeymoon to England in 1952.
Yeah, we went in 52.
And that's when Baba called you back on the boat.
Yeah, 52 we went on the delayed honeymoon. Baba said, go and look and see, you haven't been. And so we went, Delia was my friend, Baba friend in London. Delia, yeah. And so she was very good, so we spent a lot, and London appealed to me. You know, I liked England. I liked what I saw, the people I saw, you know.
But then Baba had the accident. Baba had the accident and wanted you back.
Yeah. Baba in America with the Mera and the Women Monthly and the Men Monthly had a bad accident in Satara. And we were told we had to leave on a certain day, go first class, third class, deck, luggage, whatever. Dr. Donkin sent Adi and I, cable. And
Baba wanted them back immediately.
And then he also sent money for the tickets. Donkin was mayor. Baba made him my Shireen's godfather. He was Shireen's godfather. And a thorough gentleman. Did you know he never took any airplane or one thing? He came on a horseback or what was it? Don't come on. Travel to Baba. He was an amazing man. I could swear by him. He was such a wonderful Baba lover, you know. Anyway, so what was I saying now?
So Baba wanted you back.
Yeah, he sent us this date. So for Baba's orders, I'm very particular. I've got to do it immediately. So I told her, I said, please take me to the shipping thing. We've got to let them know. We want, otherwise there was a waiting list, goes bigger and bigger, So we went to the piano shipping, and the man said, there's nothing missing. Look at the waiting list. I said, oh my God, there's trouble now. What do we do if we can't go? And this lasted for about 1.5 months. Baba's time was coming, They were going to come to England. Baba didn't want the Manli to know we were here in England. It was their group, no Baba followers, I was getting very upset, and so about 3 times a day I made Daddy walk. We walked to save money even, and we went back to, the poor man was so fed up with me. I said, look, I've got to go before a certain date. Please, never mind if it's luggage, deck, whatever, we are prepared to pay for it, you know. Anyway, about 2 weeks go, 3 weeks go, and the time is coming. And one day, in the morning, early morning, time is when Baba was coming. It was about 2, 3, 4 days, 4 days left. And Baba, I said, Adi, we have to leave in shortly. It's impossible. I don't know what we're going to do. Anyway, we're nearing the shipping man, and he sees me, and he shouts out, "Oh, Mrs. Irani, I don't know how you did it, but you did it." I said, "What are you talking about?" Anyway, we had the people leaving their waiting list, you know, so we had first class tickets.
All right.
Not first class tickets. And it was a nice day. I liked the ship. It was nice. I liked going on the ship. It was nice. And so that was another Baba blessing.
Yeah, so now in England, you arrive in England, you're living there.
Yeah.
This is the story. No, this is the story where Baba said to you, you know, Adi Jr. is Baba's brother, and Baba's brother really would like to go back to India, and you like in London, and so Baba gave you basically a test of saying if you could find a job in England, you could stay, and so you looked for a while,
yes, because at that
and you
time,
couldn't find a job.
At that time, no, we asked, what's his name?
Well, you went to see Baba,
who was the other
John
one?
Stevens. You went to see Baba at the Rubens Hotel.
No, wait a minute, but about the job thing. But before that, I saw who's the other Baba lover? The one who was going to be my spouse.
Don Stevens, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Don.
You came to England in 1956. And Daddy didn't really want to come, but you persuaded him.
Yeah, we came back, and then we went back to England because I liked England, you know. I wanted to go back to England. No, that's it. But you had to have a sponsor, you know. So I thought of Delia. You know, she was elderly, but she was very active still.
Dina Talati, isn't it?
Delia, yeah. And
Dina, yeah, De Leon, yeah.
Yeah, so Don agreed to be our sponsor in America after, you know, and after Baba dropped his body in. Baba is still around. What? Am I saying the wrong thing?
No, so can I just
you added.
So initially my parents thought about even moving to America, and Baba said no, not America. If you're going to leave India, you go to England. So they did move to England in 1956, and because of my father's old friendship with Delia De Leon, you know, he'd met her in India when my dad was only 18, and Kitty Davey, who was, of course, in America at that point. They moved to England, but it was very difficult because there wasn't any work. So now, Baba, you're in England, living in England. Baba has come to the Rubens Hotel, and you don't have work. You kept being turned down for work. Daddy was running the antique shop, but you needed to work. And you went to Baba and said, Baba, I want to stay here, but I can't find a job.
No. What happened was,
So,
I went to several beauty places. I went to Elizabeth Arden, and there was this huge lady in front of me. When she saw that I was thin, and she said, massage, you can't do massage.
Because you trained as a beautician.
And so I went to several. Then the one I got into, because, you know, I thought I was wearing a sari and going, I thought England ruled India at one time, they would appreciate a sari, you know. So Delia's sister, Minta, I don't know if you know her, Minta, she was married, very rich. She told me, Franey, why are you going in a sari for interviews? Go in an everyday dress that you wear. You look, Spanish, you look this. I said, cut your hair short. I had long hair. So I went to, what's that famous hairdresser in London?
Vidal Sassoon.
Yeah. I went.
Nice.
I had my hair cut short. And the hairdresser told me, oh, Mrs. Irani, if it was one inch longer, I would have bought this for you and you would have had a free hairdo. I said, oh, thank you, forget that free hairdo. Just wash my hair and do what you have to do, you know. And so I went in my European dress. And we went to this, I think it was in Knightsbridge. It was Knightsbridge, yeah.
Yeah.
And the name of the place was Delia Collins.
And so you got the job almost on the last minute.
Yeah. So,
and then, yeah.
Because Mummy, can I just say quickly? So my parents met Baba at the Rubens Hotel. Baba said, you know, how are you? What's happening? Do you like England? My mum said, I love England. My dad said, I hate England. My dad said, you know, I want to go back to India. My mum said, no, I don't want to go back. So then my dad said, well, you know, we don't have money. We really need Franey to get a job. My father was working in an antique shop. He became an antiques dealer. So Baba said to my parents, he said, okay, Franey, if you get a job within a certain time frame, you can stay. If you don't get a job, you come back. So my mum was very downcast because she thought, I'll never find a job in that time. But then, do you want to say also, in that interview, Baba asked you if you wanted a child?
Oh yeah. No, this was after Baba had arrived, and he and the Manley were staying at the Rubens Hotel in London, which was not too far away from where I was working, in a Knightsbridge. And so Adi and I went to say goodbye. There was Edmund Purdom, what was his father's name?
Well, Charles Purdom.
Charles Purdom, Edmund Purdom, the actor who was Charles Purdom's son, and lots of people came. There were, you know, and so we had to say goodbye to Baba, and Baba, I greeted him. I took some flowers. And then he, in a sign language, asked, does Shireen want a baby? And I said, Franey want a baby? And Baba said, Adi said yes. And I said yes, loudly. And anyway...
You said, Baba, if you want me to, I'd love a child. You said, Baba, if you want me to, I would love a baby.
Yeah, I didn't understand that, what you said. My hearing aid is not functioning.
No, okay.
Anyway, so to make it short, you know, Adi said, yes, she would like one, you know, Baba. So Baba said, I'll see. And so
then you
and the funny part was that after Baba left and all, and I started work at Delia Collins, I was there for about 6 months. I found out I was expecting, you know. So I thought, oh my God, I have to quit my job. I didn't want to, I liked it. You know, it was giving me some money. And anyway, I did it till I could. And then I used to get, you know, a little bit of money if you worked over a, you know, certain time. And Adi at the same time found, he went into antique furniture and antique stuff, you know, which was a good business at that time there. You know, lovely, the antiques I saw. It's amazing.
Yeah, so then Shireen was born.
Shireen was born on the
1957.
4th of September, 1957. Yeah.
And then you took me to India.
But the thing is, like now over here, you know, families go, the husband goes. I had to go alone to the hospital. I was also, what was my condition that I had?
No,
I had
you were rhesus negative, but that, so you had me, I was born.
Anyway, but I was worried that I might lose my baby.
Mummy, can I give you a drink?
But I had the best doctor, Egyptian. He said, Mrs. Irani, if you do what I tell you to do, nothing's going to happen to you or the baby. I said, well, I'll try.
So then, Mum, you took me, Daddy and you took me to India when I was 3 months to meet Baba.
3 months old. And no, I don't want it now. She was 3 months old, and I wrote to Money and I used to communicate. When Shireen was born, Baba sent a message through Money. Money wrote to me and said, Baba, I said that he's so happy that everything's all right, Shireen's born. He said, and what's another addition I added?
Well, it was, I know what you're thinking, that was later.
Yeah, anyway, then I told Adi, I said, look, I want Baba to see Shireen as a baby, you know. I said, I'm going to my parents, and I'm hoping if Baba allows me to come and show Shireen, because he's the one who gave her to me, you know. And my parents also, they were elderly, and I wanted them to see her as a baby too. So I went, when she was 3 months old, stayed about till she was, how old? 8.
We stayed about 6 months in India.
And
back to India, when you would get the message that Baba wanted you at Saroj Cinema at 4 in the morning. You'd get the message that Baba wanted to go and see. My mum's family owned the cinema. You know, Saroj. For those of you who know Saroj, he was the mayor of Ahmednagar. They were a very big family. Do you want to talk about how Baba would ask you to join him and the lady Mandali to see the movies at Saroj Cinema early in the morning?
Oh, every morning, yeah. When I came from either the university or anywhere, and Baba and the women Mandali, because you know, the family had a movie house, the military wanted one, so they had to give them one. And so Baba loved Charlie Chaplin. He loved the Laurel and Hardy. All the other comedies.
Keaton.
Yeah.
Buster Keaton.
And then of course nice movies too, you know, classic ones. But they were early morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. So the women Mandali would come with Baba, and Saroj uncle would always ask me, do you want to come? If I was in Ahmednagar, he said, do you want to come? I said yes, and you know, he'd take me with him. And I'd go and sit up with Mandali and Baba. It was so nice to hear Baba's little giggles, you know, at Charlie Chaplin and who else, Laurel and Hardy.
So you could hear Baba. You could hear Baba giggle.
Huh?
You could hear Baba giggle
Well,
during the
very
movie?
slightly, very slightly.
That's wonderful.
You know, my hearing was very good then, very slightly. And those memories come back, you know. I was very lucky to have been growing up in custard water. It was a healthy living. You know, I forgot to tell you, when I was, you know, how old, 3 years old or something, I caught malaria. There were no antibiotics or penicillin, whatever.
You had malaria?
All of them. And so there was high temperature, and my poor mother, you know, she used to give all the medicines they knew. But luckily my father, as I said, knew the doctor from the military, British military, just across the road from the Sarosh Motor Works. He called the doctor, my father, and said, my daughter's got malaria. And he came and he said, take all those clothing out, just get ice slabs, you know, buy ice slabs from the ice shop. And so we never had any refrigerators in those days. So the servants went and got the ice slabs. He said, now strip her of all her clothes and put these slabs on her body till the temperature comes down. And he stayed till 3 a.m. in the morning to go back to home to sleep till the temperature came down to whatever level he wanted. And the only thing he told my parents, he said, now she's better, you take her to the health station, Panjgani or Mahabaleshwar, you know. So that's where they took me. And I'm here.
You know, another key point in your life is when you went to India for the, what they call Navjoti? Navjoti's ceremony of Shireen, and also the wedding of Dara and Amrit, which was a sort of historical as far as the culture of India goes. Dara being of Zoroastrian faith and Amrit a Hindu. And Amrit was the daughter of Kumar. And Kumar, you know, that's probably another story in itself, another program. But did you go to that, or did Adi Jr.?
We went, Dara, my parents, I, and a family friend went to India in 1968 for their wedding, which I think took place on Mera's birthday, I think that's right. And, you know, we came back to England in January '69, and a couple of weeks later, Baba dropped his body. So that was the last time that we or anybody saw Baba. So, you know, and Amrit came back with us, and Amrit was 18, and, you know, a year later, I believe, she had Merwan, my nephew, who I think many of you know. So it was an arranged marriage. Amrit was the daughter of Kumar, as you said. Baba called him, what was Baba's nickname for Kumar? He had some really great nickname. So that was the visit we had in '68, '69. We had then gone back to India prior.
But I've got to tell
in
about
'63
what
for my Navjot.
Baba told Mani after they got married. Baba told Mani that Shireen must get married at Meherazad also. You know.
Did.
And
Did you get married at Meherazad?
Yeah, we did.
Your story is amazing too, in regards to Adi Jr. and of course your mother lived in London.
Yeah.
And in the 70s, many Westerners traveled through London on their way to India.
They did.
And they made a stop in London, and you folks were good enough to put them up. And so Jay Bonner was one of those folks who came to your home, and now we have a connection of a Westerner.
when Jay Bonner came in after Baba dropped his body, you know, when all the hippies, that's so called hippies, came to our house in Mehermanzar.
Hippies, yeah. So what was interesting about that was that actually what was very interesting was that for Americans in those days, it was cheaper to fly to India and make a stop in London. So it was almost like this enforced, you know, people. So in a lot of Baba lovers over the decades now, my God, it's so long ago, have said that our house was like a halfway house. You know, they'd come to our house first to Merman's, or they'd meet my dad. They were, most of them, very surprised by my father because they expected someone sort of, you know, wearing white robes and that sort of thing. And my dad wasn't like that at all. And then they go on to India. And this was right after Baba dropped his body. We had this absolute influx, and I don't think there's time, but you know, my parents also would have monthly Baba meetings in London, where the really early London Baba group, or the English Baba group, came, including, you know, Pete Townsend. And so there are many, many more. We haven't even really got to it, but many more stories. And then when we went back to India, for my Navjot, when I was 7, that was a very big trip because it was really the first family trip back.
She was saying at 7, Baba wanted to see her at 7. And when was your Navjot done?
I think it was in 1964.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so he wanted to see her at 7. We went for something.
Well, we went because in the Zoroastrian tradition, a child has what...
yeah, well, that's the first time she was going to see Baba in the physical form, because she was only a baby when she saw him. And she was 7. But Adi and I never knew that she was talking to her friends in St. Paul's about God and everything, that she was going to meet her God uncle, you know. And so when we go there, we were advised, Era said, please don't rush to Baba. He's very frail, be gentle. So we told Mera, you know, that please be careful, just bow down to Baba, kiss him, and put a garland on him, you know. And because she had that habit of rushing and hugging, you know. And so we stayed outside the mandir, and she went forward. There was Adi Senior, my uncle Sarosh, and quite a crowd of people inside, you know. And she goes in and rushes us, and I rush in to stop her, you know. And I did finally stop her, but she rushed in, and then she met Baba, and she wanted to ask her questions, you know. That he should listen to her question. She said the amazing question I'd ever heard. Both Adi and I never knew what she was doing, you know. But in school, she spoke to her friends, I'm going to see God, my uncle God. And everybody was astounded. Sarosh uncle looking at me, did you tell her all that? I said, no. I said, we didn't tell her anything. You know, she did it of her own accord. You know, she said the most amazing, I can't remember what she said.
So we were there for 3 months.
And so, you know, Adi Senior just went on. I said, look, Adi uncle, I don't know who told her this. She must have learned it from school.
So the Navjot ceremony is sort of similar to...
And it's in, have you read Notion on Nalava's book? That article, that instance is in his book.
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Mummy, when was it that Baba told you to always dress nicely?
I told somebody. Oh,
Yeah.
I told Nazreen.
He told you that?
Yeah, this is when the few times that I had the opportunity to meet Baba, Baba always made a point. I never knew he noticed so much, you know. One time, this was very early days when Adi and I were married, and Adi said to me, Baba asked me how Franey walks. And I used to wear these heels. You know, people wear these heels. And Baba's eyes noticed my high heels with this high. And he said, how does Franey walk?
But he said to you, always dress nicely and always smile, always to keep a
And
smile.
since I've been in my 70s, the first person who asked me questions about, there were 2 Jehovah's Witnesses at my hairdresser's, and my hairdresser had just finished me, and she must have told the Jehovah's Witnesses she had a patient, a client who was in her late 70s, you know. And so after the hairdresser got my jacket and all, these 2 women say, oh, it's nice to know you, you know, but you don't look your age. How old? Who do you believe in? I said, I was scared. I was in a public place, and I didn't want. Baba said, you mustn't throw me down people's throats, only if they ask you talk. You know. So I remember that, and I said, well, they've asked me a question. What do I do in this public place? How can I say? Then I remembered Baba is in the library and on the computer. Do you see Baba on the computer?
No.
She's on the computer.
Wikipedia or something. She said, go and look him up on the computer. And you'll find out who he is. Just talking a little bit about Dara and Amrit's wedding. It was a momentous event.
Dara and Amrit's wedding.
And Baba was very unwell. And that was, I remember seeing, when I was 11, feeling that.
It was all arranged with my Baba. And the wedding went well, you know.
Public event, for BabaLibrary. Everyone came.
But I've forgotten.
Well, Baba. So we had seen Baba a lot before the wedding took place, and there were of course arrangements.
The wedding performance was done at the Villa, my uncle Sarosh and my aunt Villa's house, you know.
But then some of it took place at Meherzad, because there's a film that's out there, and all of that happened at Meherzad.
You should mention, it's such a touching story about how Baba called you into his bedroom, you and Ahmed, and told you both.
It seems so long ago, everything, my goodness.
There was, but we all had time with Baba, and of course nobody knew it was the last time, although Baba did say something to my mum, if I can get her.
No, but after my Dara and Amrit married, we were going back to England, Dara, Amrit, myself and my husband, and we were told, when we greet Baba, we had to be very gentle. So I went in first. I wanted to get ready and go, to catch a plane and all that from Ahmedabad. And I went there. Erich was behind Baba, bed with Baba. And I was very worried. I didn't want to hug him too much. I hugged him. And he was really very frail. And so, then Erich, he said, Franey, do you want to talk to Baba? Do you want me to go out? Anything you want to say private? I said, I have nothing private. Baba knows it all. And Baba then, with his right thumb and first finger, he said, yes, you will all know it at the end of the year. Just before Baba dropped his body.
What was it?
You will know everything by the end of the month, and this was we were in January. I think we had stayed there through January. Dara and Amrit's wedding was the 22nd of December. We stayed through Christmas. We returned to England in early January, and Baba
Baba dropped his body at the end of the month. I know. And so when I said what I did, Baba knows it all. And Baba said yes. And at the end of the month, I'll know, everyone will know. Aaron's never mentioned me that I was there. I think one of his articles, he just said that Baba said this out of, and he looked very frail. I still see him lying down.
When we went...
Yeah, and the Baba dropping his body was such a shock to all of us. And all the young people rushing, phoning us. We were on the phone, we only had 2 phones, and Adi was on one. And Don Stevens was told to, was it Don Stevens was told?
Yeah.
To go to India via picking up my husband. He never came. He just went straight.
My dad just
we had to arrange, Adi's flight. Poor Delia was in a fit, keeps phoning me. Franey, I made an appointment. I said, that's fine, Delia, be calm. I said, look, if nobody's taking you, I'll take you to the airport. So, anyway, Adi took the first flight that was available in the morning, he wanted to go there. And so Delia had made arrangements with, I don't know, Air India or something, and she hired a taxi, and she never packed in such a hurry. I tried to help her in a hurry, and she went to the airport. And Adi had already, I said, got Adi seated on the plane and all, and Delia's turn came, and Delia, it was a Sunday, and Delia, the man said we can't take checks on Sundays. So she was in a stump thing. I said, look, Delia, look, I'll try something. Perhaps they know my brother who's in the airlines, and the man will let you sign the, give the check. And so I waited. There were only 2 men available. They were busy. I didn't know anyone, but I spoke to one. I said, do you know my brother, squadron leader, Irani? And he said, of course. So I said, this lady wants to go to India. She doesn't have cash. Can she give you a check? He said, fine. He was very nice. And so Adi and Delia, the 2 people who never got on well with each other.
It's a funny story because my father loved Delia.
It was hysterical. Some of the things that he said
to be his
that happened on the trip.
For the entombment trip. And Delia's right there on the plane. In fact, he told the story. I remember when he came back from India. My father had a great way with words. It was such a sad time, but he came back and he said, I was on the plane, and then the plane stops, and then there's Delia, who was very nervous, and he knew that he'd have to look after her, and that's what, that wasn't what he planned, but he said in the end it was Baba's way because it distracted him from the sorrow.
But
they went together.
Delia was a very sweet person. She loved Baba so dearly, And there's a wonderful... Money used to write to me and say, Franey, Delia writes so lovingly about you and your family. I said, well, thank you. I do nothing. I just go when she needs me. And then the last time before she died, she was in hospital. And she phoned. And I said, look, Delia, I'm coming. Just give me time. She was very impatient, And I must have gone 10 minutes late. She said, where were you? Instead of saying hello, first question, where were you? But I used to help her because she was a great help to me.
And there's a wonderful, if you haven't already, Delia wrote a book called The Ocean of Love, which is an incredible book, and just by the by, I was lucky enough to help her with that. I was pregnant with our daughter.
Should I tell the story of the garland?
Yes, yes. But can I just quickly, I would suggest that if you, it's a beautiful book.
I have a picture, didn't I, somewhere in my bag here.
I'll tell you later.
After my husband went to India, after knowing the news, he came back, I think the next morning. He didn't stay long. But what he did, in the middle of the night, he went to the Samadhi and picked up a garland that was on Baba's body to bring it to England for us. And I didn't know this till he came, what I had to do with it, you know. So, next morning I went to fetch him, you know, when he came from the airport. He came and he told me he was bringing a garland, and I didn't know what for.
The garland had been on Baba's body.
Yeah, and so we arrived home, and then he puts the garland, you know, on the sideboard that's under Baba's photograph, framed. And I said, what's the garland for? I was going to put it. He said, no, it's not for that. I said, what? Then what's it for? He said, I want you to fix the garland so I can frame it. You know, I said, how can I do plants? What can I do? I've never done anything like that. I'm not a specialist. He said, well, you've got to do something. I want that garland to be in a frame, you know. And I said, Amrit was married then. She was pregnant. I told her, don't help too much, just a little, I might need help. But Adi wanted the garland to be up before we started a monthly meeting.
Yes,
the Baba.
He wanted it preserved and
for the Baba meeting. I said, and it was only a week left for Baba meeting. I didn't know. Shireen was young. I said, how am I going to do now? And I didn't want to disappoint Adi. I mean, this is something very personal he wanted to do, you know.
So he went to Kew Gardens. Daddy went to Kew Gardens.
So he said, I'll go to Kew Gardens because the day he came was a Saturday and they're shut. So Kew Gardens is the best botanical gardens in the world. And they do help in doing things. So he was hoping that they would treat the garland so that no pesticides would attack the garlands in the future, you know. Which they did. It's a good job. That garland is still hanging, you know. I don't know how I did it again, Baba helped.
So the man said no. First, my father went there, and the man at Kew said no.
But I did see one woman in a TV program, and she was doing something similar that I was supposed to have done, you know. She had a big sort of, I don't know whether it was suede or what, but she had a proper frame. She attached that suede to the frame, stretched it, so she could, you know, you could do the needlework part.
So can I just quickly say, my father took the garland to Kew Gardens, the Royal Gardens, and spoke to a man there and said, could you do this for me? And the man said, look, Mr. Irani, I'm really sorry, you know, we don't do anything for the public. This is the Royal Botanical Gardens. So my father was quite dejected and said, okay, thank you. And as he was opening the door, the man said, Mr. Irani, you know, can you come back? So my father went back and he said, I don't know, I feel this was from a very special person. I'm going to do it as an exception. I won't charge you. So he did it very quickly. He preserved the garland. My mum and Amrit together put it on a sort of a velvet, and my mum embroidered the Mastery in Servitude designs and that got a frame, and so the garland is hanging.
No, but Shireen, I had to get all this material for what I planned, and you know, to do. I mean, the easiest way I can put that garland onto cloth, you know. And the only supermarket I liked in England, in London, was Selfridges, and they were the cheapest ones. And the ladies over there were very helpful, you know. And so I bought very thin layered suede, you know, because it had to be thick, otherwise this would all fall apart. So
yes, Franey, we thank you so much for this unbelievable meeting. We could go on for hours. And we now remember you with the stories you told as Baba's royal family.
Oh.
I mean, the connection you have with Adi Jr., India, London, New Mexico, and the West now with Jay here, we feel we're part of the family, and we feel very, very well privileged and honored to be here with one of Baba's close relatives and family, and we really just send our love to you all. Thank you so much for traveling down and being with us. Jai Baba.